Perhaps you're sitting in a job that you're not sure about anymore. Well, watch Emily's inspiring story, because she left her job in corporate life and branched out on her own, setting up her own very successful nutrition business. Here she is and telling us her story in her very own words.
My name's Emily Fawell. I am a nutritional therapist and I run a company called Fawell People. I run it from here. This is my home clinic, and I see all kinds of clients. I specialise in women's health, children's health, weight loss and fertility. And I've been running my own business for 2.5 years now. Before this, I worked in marketing. I probably worked in marketing for 15 years for major drinks companies and a supermarket. And when I had my second child, I decided that there might be a different way of living. And I'd become very passionate about nutrition. So whilst I was on maternity leave, I started a 4-year nutrition course. And fortunately for me, I was made redundant. And that enabled me to be able to focus entirely on nutrition. And the timing was perfect. So by the time I'd finished the course, my son was going into reception, which gave me the time to focus on setting up my business. I think what I've realised over the years is that I have very strong values, and that has meant that I don't always fit into organisations. And I have very strong values about how people should be treated, and that didn't always match with those values that my bosses might have had. So working for myself was probably where I should always have been, but obviously you need to know what you want to do. And nutrition, I have health issues that I'd had conventional medical treatment for that hadn't worked. The reason I work from home is initially, when I was setting up, I didn't have a client base. So there didn't seem to be much sense in hiring a room in a clinic if I wasn't guaranteed to have clients. So financially, it made more sense to see people at home. And I still think, ultimately, if the right location was there, I would like to work from a clinic, maybe 1 day a week. But there's so many advantages to working at home, especially when you've got a family. So my children, I have to drop them off at school every morning, but the school's on the next street, so I can see clients from 9:15 in the morning. It means I can get the very boring stuff done, like washing and cooking and stuff, whilst I'm working. If I've got time between clients, and it's very well used because I'm in my home. It also means that I can pick my children up from school every day, and that's one of the things that's important to me. If I'm going to work for myself, I want to be in charge of my hours, and 4 days a week I pick my children up from school, and it means that they can still do after school activities and they don't miss out because I'm working. So working from home enables me to have a really good balance of family and work. And I just think, having worked, I was working 4 days a week when I had my first child. It puts a lot of pressure on a family unit if you're both out of the home most of the time. It's not a very happy existence for a child if they're in nursery from 8:30 to 6 every day. And working for myself and working from home means that as a family we have a much better life, I think. Means I can get on with the stuff that you might normally have to cram your weekend full of at home during the week. So there are things I miss about being at home. I think the biggest thing is, it sounds really trivial, but kind of office banter and kind of camaraderie. There are days, if you've been working on something for 3 days and and you haven't had any kind of human contact other than your own children or your partner. It would be nice to be working on things with people. I guess I miss that kind of teamwork and kind of just camaraderie, really. But I compensate for that by doing a lot of networking. So at least once a week I attend a networking meeting. I'm the chair of Ealing Athena. I'm part of Ladies at 11, and I run my own networking group for therapists in this area. So I build those elements into my working week so that I don't miss out on that. And I found, even in the short term that I've been running my business, that I've built very strong bonds with other local small business owners. And there's always someone there at the end of the phone, or you can meet someone for coffee. And, there's at least, on my road, at least 4 women who work from home, so we'll meet up for a coffee once in a while. But you do tend to become a bit obsessive about working. I think when you work for a company, there's boundaries, and they don't really exist when you work for yourself. So I do find I can work in the evenings, at the weekends, and I wouldn't have done that if I was salaried. Well, I guess I did sometimes, but it wasn't such a regular feature. So there are kind of dangers to working at home. There's no kind of end of the day. I set, it's called the Ealing Health and Wellbeing Network, and I set it up nearly 2 years ago, so January 2010. And really it came out of wanting to make contact with local people and knowing that in order to grow my business, I needed referrals. And there's 5 aims of the group. I won't be able to remember them all. One of them's to make local contacts. One is to encourage referrals. Another is to support each other to grow our businesses, and to learn from each other. So I just went through a couple of publications that I was advertising in and emailed everybody else who was interested in the health and wellbeing of local people and suggested that we meet once a month. And the response was phenomenal. Everybody came back within half an hour saying, what a great idea, I'd love to come. And it was brilliant. So we had our first meeting in a local pub, and there must have been 20 people there. It was fantastic. And I only knew one of them. The others I just contacted through email. And then it took a while for us to find the right venue where we could hear each other. And we now meet in a pub that very kindly have given us a room once a month. It's the Greyhound in Kew. And each month there'll be between 10 and 15 people turning up. And then in the last 4 months, we've been trying to educate ourselves in social media. So we have a company called Grace Online Marketing, and Lisa Grace comes along every month to teach us about a different element of social media. So once again, we can grow our businesses. And we've just launched our own Facebook page for the network. And it's fantastic because the way to make social media work for you is to have loads of links to other people's Facebook pages and websites and Twitter feeds. And we've got the network that we need to exploit that. And everyone's really keen to get involved. So it's really rewarding. Twitter is amazing for making contact with people. And we all retweet each other's tweets to kind of get exposure for each other. There's a real sense of community developing amongst us. And it's really lovely because it's very reciprocal. So one of the things that I try to encourage people to do is to experience each other's therapies so that you can recommend and refer on for your clients with confidence. I would never recommend someone whose services I hadn't used. But this way I know when my client needs relaxation that I've got 4 massage therapists that I know are very good at what they do and will take care of my clients. And there's lots of reciprocity going on amongst the group. So there's a personal trainer in the group, and he's given me an assessment, a fitness assessment, and I'm having Rosen method treatment from another person in the group. And yeah, it's brilliant. It's a lovely thing to be part of, and it's something that I was inspired to do by joining other networking organisations, and it made me think kind of beyond just being a nutritional therapist. There are some downsides to working for yourself. I think I now look back on when I was salaried and think, wow, that was easy money. it was so easy to be salaried. Whereas I think when you work for yourself, it's hard work to earn every pound. And I wasn't unrealistic about it. I didn't expect to be making a living from the offset, but I guess I didn't expect it to be quite so hard. And I think the problem is in my industry is that you only charge people for the time that they're with you. And there's so much work that you do to prepare for a client, both before and after you've seen them. And you can't really charge somebody for that. So it's been a hard lesson to learn just how hard it is to make a living. And I guess the other thing that kind of goes in hand with that is because you're making all the decisions on your own, it can feel a bit scary sometimes when you think, right, should I be spending £350 on banners to promote myself? When that equates to, I won't be able to work it out, but so many clients. So yeah, it's hard. And I also think for my partner, that's hard as well. I had a decent income before I did this, and we've, for 6 years, survived on one income. And I'm hoping that next year I'll be able to contribute to the household income, but it's been quite tough from that perspective. And I think, I didn't realise it would take this long to start making a profit, or making a profit that I could take out of the business, because that's the other thing. You don't want to take everything out because you want it to grow. So that's hard. Not feeling like, there are some days when it's tough, when you think I've worked so hard today and I have nothing to show for it. And I do tend to work a lot, so I probably work between 40 and 50 hours a week. And sometimes it feels like that's for nothing, but it's not for nothing. I mean, the difference that I'm making to people's lives makes that worth it. But it would be nice as a family to be benefiting from that, I suppose. I do have a lot of clients that come to me with stress issues, and I do think the pace of life is very fast these days, and everybody has very high expectations of what they should be doing and achieving, and we do tend to push ourselves to the absolute limit. What I would say about people that work from home is, if they've got the right idea about nutrition, it's much easier to eat healthily from your own home than it is if you're working in an office, because you can fill your fridge with good stuff. I do think it's harder for people that work in offices, and sometimes, I mean, if you work around here on Park Royal Industrial Estate, it's very hard to get nutritious food. But at least if you work from home, and if you can plan that into your week, you can make sure that you have a nutritious lunch whilst you're working. I guess the kind of temptation when you're working for yourself is to skip meals. But generally, the people that I meet do take that side of things quite seriously and take advantage of the fact of being at home, and therefore that means they don't have to rely on sandwiches and fast food. So, but I think if you're working for yourself, you have to take care of your health and make sure that you're kind of pacing yourself and looking after yourself and not just working all the hours, she says, thinking, that would be good advice to take. What I've really loved about starting up my own business is finding people who have the skills that I need to build my business. And I've been really lucky in that I've met some very local people. In fact, my opposite neighbour is a graphic designer. So she created my brand identity for me and has done my logos and my leaflets and all my promotional material in return for nutritional therapy. So it's been a really lovely relationship because I need what she's got and she's interested in what I've got. So that's been brilliant. And I think that's one of the benefits of networking, is that you meet people who are willing to swap skills. So I know a social media expert and a search engine optimization expert, and she's brought her son to me for nutritional therapy, and in return, she's helped me out with things. And And I think that's something that was lovely to discover, is there's so many people out there who realise that, you know, there's a benefit in sharing expertise and helping each other out. So I've met my accountant through networking. At the bank, I got through networking. That was great. I was with a bank that charged to have a business account, and then met somebody who represented Santander, and it's free business banking for life. Brilliant. Because when you're running a small business, the last thing you want is to be paying bank charges. So there are people out there that are creating the events that you need to promote yourself. And that's, again, what's brilliant about people who run their own businesses, is that you tend to be a little more creative. And if the avenue you want doesn't exist, you create it for yourself. So that's wonderful, I think, that people... And I think it's those kind of people that are attracted to running their own businesses, is people who are able to think a bit outside the box and know that there could be a different way of working and a different way of blending home life and work and passion with a career. So yeah, it's great. Life's too short to do something that you hate every day of the week. I think we've lost a friend. She was very young when she died. And I look at that and think, imagine she luckily was somebody that had got out of the corporate life and had enjoyed setting up her own business. And I just think, imagine if you died at 45 and all you'd experienced was working for somebody else and been terribly unhappy doing that. I just think everybody, I mean, I guess it only doesn't appeal to everybody. But if it is something that you want to do, then you should just do it, because even if you fail, you can go back and get a job working for somebody else again. But you've at least had that experience of running your own company. I don't think anything beats it. I mean, I couldn't go back to working for somebody now. I just think I'd be a nightmare. I was bad enough before, and now I kind of think I've experienced this freedom, and freedom to do what I want to do, to be creative, to test things that might work, might not work. To go back to have a job description and just do those things would be quite stifling now. Whereas now I could take my business in any direction I wanted to go. The thing that I lack is time. And if I had more time, wow, the opportunities are absolutely limitless. And I do believe that's true of any business. It can be whatever you want it to be. And imagine not experiencing that. Imagine living your whole life, going into the same environment every day and having the same frustrations. And I just think everybody should give it a go and just test it out and see how they get on.